Welcome to the Opportunity Podcast, where entrepreneurs come to learn from real buyers, sellers, and industry experts on the lesser-known growth opportunities to build their online business empires. We'll uncover tactics veteran online business entrepreneurs have used to build, buy, flip, and sell their way towards personal wealth. Sit back, grab a coffee, and get ready to uncover hidden growth secrets. The Opportunity Podcast starts now.
Welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast, your go-to resource for hidden growth opportunities throughout online business. We're your host. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Brandon, and thanks for joining us for our latest episode. Today, we will be speaking with Max Chu, and he recently made an 8-figure exit from his Amazon FBA business in the children's niche on our marketplace. He overcame immense challenges to finally reach his dream exit and is going to go over some of the experience and what it was like working with us, as well as what it took to build such a powerful FBA business.
That's right. So Max has an amazing story of how he went from struggling to keep food on the table for his family to growing this Amazon FBA business to over 7 figures just before making a life-changing exit that he never thought would have been possible. He shares what it was like to have PE buyers interested in the business and how he navigated negotiations with the teams. Overall, his story is a first-hand account of what an 8-figure exit looks like and what it's like to partner with empire flippers in the process. But we won't give away too much just yet, so let's dig into the interview first, see what Max has to share, and then at the end of the episode, we'll go over some of the best listings on the Empire Flippers marketplace that highlight the growth opportunities we've learned about today. So let's get started. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast. Today we have Max Chu on with us. He is an FBA seller who has just made an 8-figure exit. So it's really great to have him on and to hear some of his story. So Max, thank you so much for coming on today. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so we talked about this a little bit earlier. How about you tell everyone, where it is that you're calling in from right now?
Yeah, I'm calling in from sunny California. An hour away from San Francisco Bay Area. I live in a small town called Mountain House, and just an hour away from Silicon Valley. I'm not sure if you guys heard of Mountain House because it's a really small town, but we got famous for the 2008 housing crash. We're like the most underwater city in the whole United States back in 2008.
Wow. It's definitely it's a good fun fact, I suppose, a way to break the ice about where you're from. That's so cool. So we didn't get the chance to talk about this. I'm definitely curious to know. Obviously, we're going to dig all into your business and how the exit went, but let's start with your beginning. So tell me, how did you get your start working online and what kind of led you to starting this FBA business?
Yeah, we started this back in 2007, our online business. I just got laid off from my call center job. So I was searching online. I got to find a way to make some money because my unemployment's running out. So what I found is, people actually make websites and monetize it by using AdSense, Google AdSense on there. So we started creating a couple websites that we're interested in. Like at that time, I was interested in bowling. So I kind of wrote up a website and it made a couple pennies here and there a day. And after a month or two, it provided a free coffee or two for me and my brother. When I say we, it's always me and my brother. We're always 50% in any business that we do. Yeah, and we start monetizing, and it was going good. We were making around $100,000 a year each up until 2012 to 2013, where Google released their Panda and Penguin update, and that turned the whole website SEO industry upside down. Previously, making backlinks and ranking website is just not there anymore. Google just stopped all of that. So our income dropped by 80%. So instead of making like $100,000 a year, we're making like maybe $20,000 a year. So it was really rough just to try to survive off of that. And then in 2015, we're not able to survive off that money. 2015, my wife was 5 months pregnant with my first son, ended by a drunk driver that totaled my car. And I spent the last of my savings just to get an old car so she can get to work. Yeah, I knew I got to do something. I can't keep living off just $5,000-$10,000 a year. So Started driving for Uber and Lyft just to make ends meet. I gotta find a way to put food on the table. And then, I have a kid coming. So I was driving for Uber and Lyft. It wasn't making a lot of money with that, but it was maybe $50 to $100 a day driving for that. Yeah, I was being really cheap. I wouldn't spend money on eating lunch or anything. I would just buy a protein bar and drink some water. And that's all I can afford at that time. And I was talking to my brother like, hey, we got to find another business or we're going back to corporate America. So we heard a podcast from the founder of Jungle Scout, Greg Mercer, and he was talking about people doing private label and having Amazon FBA, selling the products and fulfilling it through FBA. And we started looking into that and we decided to give it a try. And we browsed through thousands of products to see what was profitable and to see if we can make improvements or set up our own private label on that. And we found our first product through that. We contacted a couple of the factories through Alibaba. We got samples, and that's how we got started with the FBA business. And the first year, everything would be shipped to my house in my garage, and we would manually inspect every product, units, and place the FNSKU labels and the warning labels on each of our FBA product. We make sure the quality is up to standard, because if we didn't want to have any problems with Amazon, so we inspect everything because this is totally new. And coming from being broke, if this is an opportunity, I don't want to screw it up. So we did everything by ourselves. It was a grind at the beginning. So after the first year, we grew out of my garage. The UPS guy knows me so well because we're sending so many boxes to my garage. My garage was able to hold 10 pallets, so we squeezed everything in there. But overall, we grew out of that. So we moved to our freight forwarders warehouse in South San Francisco. And from there, they have a large warehouse. We would ship all our shipments to their warehouse. And when we're free, every year we would find new products, just browse to different products to see what is there available. And we try to keep it in the same category because we sell toys. And I just had my kids, so I love toys. They love playing with my toys too. So and 2020 was our biggest year due to the COVID, and everyone were ordering things online. So we grew along with Amazon. Amazon was growing, so we grew along with them. And during Q4, which is around October, November, December, we almost maxed out the warehouse in our South San Francisco warehouse. We used all the rack space, all the floor space, pretty much maxed out everything. And it was only just my brother and I doing everything. We didn't hire out anybody. We had a bookkeeper, and that was it. We did all the labelings and everything. And that's where we're at. And then we decided to sell the business. We were at the San Francisco warehouse. My brother asked me, like, what do you think about an exit? And I told him, if we exited, I don't want to go back to find another job. So I told him, in order for me to exit, I would need to sell it. And after all the fees and the taxes, I would need to be able to just live comfortably without going back to find another job. My family would be okay with everything. And I'm really into the FIRE movement and the 4% rule. So as long as I'm able to live off the 4% rule, then I told him I'm willing to go sell it and let it go.
Wow. That is an incredible story. Amazing. Just to hear all those challenges that you went through. And obviously we'll talk about more about the exit and how well that went for you. But gracious, in light of, what you were able to exit for after all that, that's insane. I feel like those are the stories we don't always get to hear about, or maybe you read about it somewhere and you're like, oh, that only happens to, I'll never meet someone that's happened to. And then here you are on the podcast and that's been your true story. That's mental. I love it. That exiting aspect, I think that was a really good point. I'm into the FIRE movement as well. So it's really cool to hear you say that. And that obviously your goal was right. If I exit this thing, obviously the business is going well. It's sort of solving the problem of being something that I can live off of. I just want to make sure that I get what it's worth. So obviously you had a bit of a conundrum there. How am I going to exit the business and make sure it's lucrative enough to give me, or hit the goals that I'd like? So, I was wondering at that point, How did you find out you could sell your FBA business and eventually kind of make your way to working with Empire Flippers?
Yeah, I was following a couple of Facebook groups, and there were chatter and posts about people exiting these FBA business. And Empire Flipper, the name Empire Flipper keeps coming up. So, and a couple of your guys was commenting on the different exits that as well for FBA businesses. And I read all the posts, and I did some research on Empire Flipper, and yeah, you guys are one of the biggest brokers out there. So we decided to just go with you guys and go with the biggest broker out there. There's no point in going with somebody smaller because I know you guys bring in the big players, the big buyers to bid on these businesses.
Yeah, it's awesome that you were able to find us right at the pivoting moment when you guys were deciding, okay, maybe this is something that we'd like to consider. Maybe an exit could be beneficial for everyone and provide you that lifestyle that you want to live off, as you had mentioned, the 4% and enjoy your early retirement, I guess you could say. But I'm curious for you, Max. So on a more high level, could you describe the business at the time you decided to list it for sale on our marketplace? Like roughly how much was it generating per month in net profits, or maybe some of the elements that your business made that kind of stood out from the others that were on our marketplace?
Okay. Yeah, it ranges because we sell toys, and during maybe from January to September, it ranges from net profit of 80,000 to maybe 150. But when Q4 starts, it could go as high as $500,000 per month in net profit because we sell toys, and Christmas is our peak season. That's the most lucrative. And also in 2020, there was a Prime Day too. Prime Day happens in mid-October. So that really helped out our sales during Q4 too. And what made it stand out is that we don't just get into a product and just make a Me Too product where just slap a label on and it's exactly the same as any of our competitors. We try to differentiate by having different modes created. There's more initial cost if you do that, but that's what we decided to do. So we want our product to last instead of just a Me Too product goes up where it's exactly the same as all of our competitors and everybody out there. Yeah, we just think you have to differentiate to have an advantage over competitors to really dominate the market. So that's what we've been doing from the start. We really dominated in almost all categories that we got into because we differentiate our product and have modes. The modes created barriers to entry for a lot of our competitors.
Yeah, on the subject of barriers for entry, I also noticed on your listing page for this business, when you went to go make an exit and list it, was that you had 7 different trademarks. Could you walk us through what your mindset was behind getting all of these trademarks? Because I know that we do have some Amazon FBA sellers. Sometimes they come onto our marketplace and they don't have a trademark. But could you walk us through what do you feel are maybe some of the benefits of having those trademarks in place, maybe even helped with the deal, which we'll get into further later on?
Yeah, the trademark really helps to get you brand registered in Amazon so you could get off hijackers, because that's one of the main problems that you have when you create a product and you sell on Amazon. You have hijackers from China or anywhere that just hop onto your listing, and just because you're building up all these reviews, you have thousands, tens and thousands of reviews. They just want to just hop on and take a piece of that. But if you have a trademark and your brand registered with Amazon, it's a lot easier to just get them off your listing. And when we first started, for the trademark, we were just trying to differentiate a couple of our products, just different types of toys. We want to have different trademarks for it. And eventually we were planning to, okay, if we're profitable, maybe we'll just exit 1 or 2 brands, just instead of selling the whole business. We just try to exit 1 or 2 brands and see if that's even possible. So that's how we started different trademarks, and we have 7 of them right when we exit.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that all up because it really does seem like the eternal battle, as you say, really being able to protect your listings. And obviously, we've had large FBA buyers come on and say, how important it is to acquire a brand and look for products that aren't Me Too products. And that really seems to be the threshold for those large buyers, which I know that you were able to exit to successfully. So let's get into it. I'd love to hear, when the business went live, how did things play out? Did you see a lot of buyer demand?
Yeah, when it initially went live, we were so nervous because it went live on Monday. And right when the first hour went live, got an email from Empire Flipper saying that, oh, yeah, we have an interview scheduled already. I was like, wow, amazing. I can't believe it's so fast. Then it went silent the whole day. We didn't get any other interviews, any other email from you guys saying that any buyers were interested. So we were having doubts like maybe we're not going to get any buyers for our business. But as the day goes by, the next day we had scheduled for another 2 interviews. And then another day passed by. We have a total of maybe 5 interviews lined up after the listing became live.
Wow. No, I mean, that's definitely really exciting. I love to hear when sellers come on and they get, business right away within that first hour. Or, I mean, some people, granted, this is an 8-figure business, so it's going to be a little bit of a slower process, but some people come on and their businesses sell in minutes, which is just nuts. That would obviously be on the lower end, but still so great to see that you had, these 5 buyers able to come in and say, yep, we've got the capital to deploy here and we're interested. So I'm curious, with all these conversations with buyers, what kinds of concerns or questions did they come with and did you guys discuss?
Yeah, they're just want to see if you're an honest seller, FBA seller, because when we went through Empire Flipper, you guys look at all of our numbers, our P&L and our balance sheet. So they trust that already. So they just want to interview you to make sure that you guys are saying what you're saying. You guys know the business in and out, and they just want to see if you're trustworthy.
Yeah, that's something that we do often mention in some of our content as well, is not only as seller are you looking to make sure that, the business goes on to a great buyer that's going to take care of it, but also the buyer is kind of doing the same thing. They're wanting to make sure that they're willing to work with you and you're easy to work with, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at, because, at the end of the day, they're going to need some help during that transition period to take over the business fully and make sure that they're operating it to the same standards that you were prior. So I'm curious, during the negotiation period, or maybe even during some of the calls that you had with some buyers, was there anything that unfolded or anything that came about to actually sealing in like a solid deal? And can you walk us through that process, or maybe even, some of the offers that came to the table for you?
Mm-hmm. I'm actually glad we got a broker, because having a broker prevents the buyers from lowballing you. Empire Flippers bring in the buyers who will actually compete, and buyers know that they're competing against each other. If they don't give a competitive bid for the business, they will just lose the deal. So having a broker is really helpful. If you were to go directly to the different buyers, like if we were go directly to 5 of the different buyers, each would do their own due diligence. They'll look at your P&L and your balance sheet. They'll ask questions. They'll take a lot of time to go over that. And you have to deal with 5 different buyers that's going to take a lot of time. And they don't know if they're competing against each other. They might think you're just contacting them directly. And they do know that you're not paying the commission fee. So they're going to bid a lower and not as competitive. With Empire Flipper, we do it once with you guys with our accounting books, the P&L, and then the buyers trust you guys. So once they see the numbers, they'll just interview us and see if they like the business or not. Yeah, and for Empire Flipper, you guys are really quick when it comes to finding buyers, because after the interview for the 5 buyers maybe took 2 weeks, and then they gave an offer right after that. All 5 buyers gave an offer. And then that was the round 1. And then we're bringing the buyers to round 2. And then we brought all the buyers around to all 5. And this time it's our turn to interview who we want to choose to sell our business to. So we talked to all 5 buyers. It was like during a 2-day span. So we were having calls back to back, back to back. It was from like 9 in the morning to 2 or 3 in the afternoon. It was just back to back calls with Empire Flipper and the buyers. And all 5 buyers in the second round made an improved bid from the first round. So that was good.
Yeah, I wanted to say I'm so happy you brought that up, Max, because it's something that we have noticed in our experience working on FBA deals in this price range when we're talking about, 7 figures to 8-figure businesses, the advantage of getting the buyers to be able to compete for you. Because like you said, the large buyers, if you go to them direct, you miss the opportunity to have someone compete and get you a better offer for your business. And you don't really know what you're missing out on. Not to mention, things could get tied up in different exclusivities and things start becoming a little bit more hard work pretty fast. So it's really good that you were able to get these tied up. You got better offers by your second round and obviously walked away with a life-changing offer. I was wondering, when you got to the point where you had all 5 buyers kind of at the table, basically able to, figure out what offers they could pull to try to win this business. I mean, what for you kind of made you decide on like a particular buyer? Was it their ability to, say, trust that buyer to run your business well the next few years? Maybe was it that you felt like some sort of affinity for them? Just wondering if you had anything in mind there.
Yeah, because these are 7 to 8 figure businesses. These structures for these bids are usually there's a lump sum at the beginning, and then there's a stability period, like within the first year, if you're able to make the same revenue or net profit as last year. And then there's also the earnout portion of it too. So when we were choosing, we wanted to choose a buyer that's able to continue running the business, that knows FBA, so we could get the stability payment and the earnout, because it's not just about bidding high. If you're choosing a buyer that just bids high, but they're totally new to FBA, they're going to run into a lot of issues, because Amazon have a lot of issues with sellers. They don't provide really good seller support. I mean, you could see that online through a lot of Facebook groups. A lot of people have problems with Amazon seller support. They're really good with their customer support if you're just a regular shopper at Amazon. But when it comes to seller support, yeah, Amazon has a lot to to improve on. So you want to choose a buyer that knows what they're doing, and you want to make sure you're able to get the earnout. Because if you're not able to get the earnout or the stability payment, then you're only left with the initial lump sum that they paid you. And the business pretty much goes downhill after that. And yeah, we started this business like 5.5 years ago, and this is my like baby. I don't want to just give to somebody that's just gonna waste it. I want it to grow as big as it can grow, because we're only a 2-man team, and we pretty much maxed out what we're able to do, my brother and I. So we want somebody with a whole team, with managers, with employees to just come over, take over, and launch in new markets like the EU market, Canada, Mexico, just different markets, Walmart and eBay, things like that. Because yeah, we're not able to do it, but we want somebody to take over and grow the business.
Yeah, I'm really happy you brought that up, Max, because it's something that we do get a lot of compliments from sellers as well, is because we have such a large buyer pool and over 3 billion now in verified liquidity on our marketplace. Of course, we're going to have plenty of buyers that are going to come to your table, maybe even more so in the lower end of the 7-figure price range. But with this 8-figure price range, buyers that are coming to the table are ready to play ball, and they do have that capital ready to kind of, push that business to its full potential. So it's awesome that you were able to almost interview the buyers themselves as well too, to see who you wanted to pass your baby on to, right? So it's really awesome to hear that you had that option, using our service, and it's always great to hear. Now, looking back on, the whole process of selling your business, was there anything that you learned through that process that you wish you had known before, or, what kind of advice would you give to maybe Amazon FBA sellers that are looking to make an exit themselves?
Yeah, for a successful exit and fast exit, I think you need to get your books in order. Your P&L and your balance sheet have to be clean. You got to keep your business expenses to business. Don't mix it with personal expenses in there. The buyer needs to check every single line on your credit card statement. So you got to justify why you bought this. Is it for the business? Yeah, because the buyers, they're buying your business. So they have to make sure that you're not lying. You are saying exactly what you are saying. Yeah, so to do that, I mean, you might want to clean up your books and before you start selling your business.
Yeah, definitely solid advice. It's something that it's just so easy to get excited about the prospect of selling, and then all of a sudden you arrive to the process, and then it's like you have to do all that backtracking to get those books correct. And that can be a little bit more work than people realize, especially if they weren't doing good bookkeeping along the way. So no, I think that's great advice. I mean, personally, hearing this story, I'm like, I feel like you and your brother must be superhumans to have run this business just between the two of you, especially at the level that it was at. Oh my gosh, Christmas must have been just an absolutely insane time of year for you guys. Not sure if you were sleeping at all. I'm curious, like now that you have made this 8-figure exit happen, I mean, certainly in light of all of those challenges and all those up and downs, how has your life changed since this exit? And, are there any new future plans on the horizon thanks to your sale?
Yeah, my brother and I have 3 boys, and my brother has a boy and a girl. So we were running this whole business while we have all these kids too. And
wow, crazy.
Yeah, we were at our warehouse. Each time that a container comes, we were at the warehouse labeling it, palletizing it. So yeah, during Q4, it was pretty hectic. So to your question, yeah, my life is pretty much still the same for now. I still drive my 2010 Honda Civic with 170,000 miles on it. I hear stories where when people hit the lottery or they got a large sum of money, they lose it all after a few years. So the strategy for me right now is just let the money sit for now until everything sinks in. I don't want to go crazy and just go wild and spend it all and go back to zero. Because
don't go buy a Lamborghini, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've been at the bottom before, so I don't want to go back to that.
I respect.
The only thing that I did so far with the money is, it's kind of embarrassing, but I finally replaced my rocking toilet. I hired somebody I have a toilet that's been kind of rocking and wouldn't stay still, but I finally paid somebody to replace that. That's about it.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
You need to get one of the Japanese
no,
toilets that have the heated seat.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
The super toilets. That'll be for future home renovations. No, it sounds like you have your head on straight. And obviously, like you said, after everything you've been through, you just want to make it work. And I mean, since you already were sort of into the FIRE movement, I'm sure you already had your plans and, investment strategies and all that jazz. But it's amazing. It's so great to see that you've gotten this chunk of money that will help you achieve all those things you were hoping to sort of get out of your businesses and for the rest of your life, and not having to return to corporate work if you didn't want to. So congratulations, really. You've got such an incredible journey, and it's been great having you on and be able to hear about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, at first I didn't really like sharing these stories because I'm really private when it comes to these things. But yeah, you guys at Empire Flipper were really good to us. And I was working with one of your guys, Jimmy. I mean, he was really helpful with us. So he emailed me. So I decided I'll share my story because I think I do have a pretty interesting story to share. So
no, seriously, it's fantastic. I think it's really inspiring, actually. And I think a lot of people are going to listen to this and probably see their own correlations with things they've gone through to what you've gone through, and certainly gives everybody a nice bit of hope, especially when, obviously, as you know, being an entrepreneur, things aren't always easy and you need something to hold on to, a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think this will definitely be helping people. Quickly, before we sign off, we usually end these things with just a couple rapid fire questions. So first, I was wondering, and it's kind of like a big question, but you're able to sort of answer it in a short way. What do you think is the secret sauce for a successful exit?
Definitely get a broker, because you don't want these big buyers to just lowball you. So get a broker and get your books together. That's very important.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Really solid advice. Using a broker is definitely going to help you in the long end. As you had, mentioned as well too, you're getting multiple buyers that are competing for your business versus settling for something that someone offers you the first round. So that's cool. Next rapid fire question for you, Max. So what tools or resources can help aspiring entrepreneurs with their business for the coming months?
Same as previously, I would recommend either Jungle Scout or Helium 10. Those are the two top softwares out there for any FBA business. And to differentiate your product. Don't just slap a label on a Me Too product and think it's going to sell, it's going to fly off the shelves. And another advice would be, this is not a get rich quick thing for FBA. I mean, you got to really put in your time. First 3 years, any profit that we made, we roll it back into the business. We didn't take any profit or any money out of the business at all until our 4th and 5th year. So a lot of people, they just think, okay, yeah, let me get in and I'm able to make the profit. Even if you're able to make a profit, the inventory is another issue. You got to put all that money back to buy inventory because you don't want to run out of stock. That's the worst thing that you can do when you run out of stock.
Absolutely. Yeah, solid advice is staying on top of some of the product research tools that you had mentioned, but also making sure that, you're differentiating yourself and you're building that moat around your brand, and getting trademarks and brand registry is a way you could do that. So that's, really solid advice. Now, hearing your story, Max, it's an amazing story, and hearing you go through a lot of struggles and into being successful now with this, it's something that I really do respect, having also myself living out of my car for a year, learning how to do this online stuff. So I understand the struggle is real and I respect the hustle. But during the time of, you working online or as a digital entrepreneur, what was your funniest moment or something that really stood out to you as a funny moment while working online?
Yeah, one of the funniest moments was selling this business in the comfort of my home. I was in my sweats. I was hiding in my closet trying to get away from my kids because they're tearing down the house. They're all under 5, so I got to close the door and hide in my closet and trying to kind of look all professional, but Yeah. And then my brother was the same way. And the funny thing was he was wearing a t-shirt with a saggy collar that's been washed dozens of times. And yeah, we were thinking like, oh, maybe we should, dress more professional with a suit and tie or whatever. But we're doing everything through Zoom. And these buyers are the same way. A lot of them don't even comb their hair. They're wearing just sweats, and you can see their bed behind them. So yeah, times has really changed from like 10 years ago. I couldn't imagine selling a business in my closet.
Yeah. Yeah, especially at this price range. It's awesome.
No, it's good. Maybe that should be our new selling point. You can sell your business from your closet while hiding from your children. Yeah. Come to Empire Flippers. Certainly the reality of the situation, right? I think everyone is stuck at home with their children, and we all just have, I think we've said this before, but have a little bit of grace and be like, you know what? It's totally fine. We don't need to dress up for this. That's so awesome. Max, it's been great having you on. I've really enjoyed your story. And like I said before, I think this is going to help a ton of people. So thank you for opening up and sharing what you would normally hold privately. We do really appreciate being able to hear your perspective.
Yeah, thank you guys for inviting me. I'm glad I'm able to share my story with you guys, because you don't hear a lot of these stories out there at all. I mean, when I was doing FBA, I love listening to these stories. So I'm just glad I'm able to share my story.
Absolutely. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Hey everyone, now that we wrapped up this episode and learned about the nuts and bolts of an 8-figure exit, we wanted to cover some of the common questions about buying and selling online businesses. So, first question today, does having a trademark for your Amazon FBA business increase your valuation? I would definitely say this is a yes. Trademarks are a form of protection for your products and your brand, and the more protections that you have around your business, especially on Amazon, the more valuable it's going to be to buyers, because nobody really wants to pick up a new acquisition that's got, no trademarks and no kind of protections around it. And all of a sudden, they get this new business and loads of competition comes in and rips off the products or rips off the brands. And instead of focusing on growing their brands, they're then having to go into defense or on defense and have to worry about getting rid of scammers. I mean, nobody really wants that when they're first acquiring a business and pulling it under their wing. So having a trademark basically signifies that you've made those initial first steps, that the brand is trustworthy, and that does have a positive correlation to raising your valuation.
Yeah, absolutely correct, Sarah. It's something that a lot of sellers kind of hold off on until the last minute, it seems like. But when you do have a trademark included, it definitely does make that brand and the business itself more desirable, as you had mentioned. So yeah, really great point there. Another question that I saw come up as well is, how does reoccurring revenue impact your business valuation? So this is a really great question. As with e-commerce businesses, it could be possible that you could have recurring revenue, which, would ultimately increase the value of the business having repeat customers. But the actual valuation is not going to be the same as, let's say, recurring revenue for a SaaS business. So with e-commerce businesses, recurring revenue is a huge bonus in the eyes of the buyer, but it also doesn't necessarily reflect as much with a SaaS valuation when compared as focusing more on your churn rates. So for SaaS business valuations, recurring revenue really is dependent on the churn rate, how low that is, and also, how often you're having subscribers stay with the business compared to, say, an e-commerce business that's just going to be pure profit as far as the buyer is concerned, and also great potential for them to scale the business even further. So it's a nice addition to highlight on your e-commerce business if you do have recurring revenue and you have a way of proving that. Since you have repeat customers, that's also going to be more desirable, thus increasing your valuation as well too. So yeah, really great questions this week for this week's episode, and that pretty much wraps it up for the Opportunity Podcast. We hope that you've gained some valuable insight to the opportunities that digital acquisitions offer. Make sure you click the link in the description or visit empireflippers.com/marketplace to learn more about businesses currently live on the platform. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more great content that's released every week. So until next time, we're your hosts. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Sarah, and thanks for tuning in to the Opportunity Podcast.